Srimati Bhakti Dhira Swami Saraswati Devi, Gauravan Pracharya Sasanyavadi, Pastatya Om Gyanatim Randa Segyanandana Salakaya, Chakshulun Militam Diratashmi, Namaha, Sri Chaitanya, Mano Bistam, Tapidam Janavutale Swayam Rupa Kadam, Tiswa Apadantika. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya from Janana Sradvaita. Gadadara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada, yes. His Holiness Bhakti Dhira Swami Maharaj Ki Jai. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Very happy to be with all of you again today. So we continue our discussion on the teachings of His Holiness Bhakti Dhira Swami from one of his books, Leadership for an Higher Consciousness. And today we have come to this very, very important topic, resolving conflict for the benefit of all. So we have the highlights here. One of the most remarkable paradoxes of modern times involves communication. The capacity to communicate large amounts of information rapidly around the planet has never been greater. Yet, the ability of everyone to communicate clearly and lovingly with others has declined, causing much pain, suffering, and conflict. As global citizens, the human beings are being called upon each day to discover and apply new ways of communicating in order to settle differences effectively and bring an end to suffering. As a highlight today, resolving conflict for the benefit of all. So when we look at the word, the conflict, we are looking at unpalatable situation. That is how generally people look at it. Gurudev also address it here. When we say conflict, people are looking at it differently. Negative, dangerous, devastating, frustrations, anxiety, lamentation. So people have different ways of understanding the word conflict. And according to individual understanding, especially for those who are not aware of the science of the self, it is true that conflict is devastating, it is dangerous, it is anxiety, prone zone, full of lamentations and suffering. And it is so disturbing that nobody should even think of it or look at it. In a different perspective, if you look at it in a holistic way, for those who are enlightened, conflict is a wonderful period, it's a wonderful time. Why? Because it increases the synergy for the devotees. Therefore, in one word, we can say that conflict is good for devotees and conflict is very devastating for non-devotees. Therefore, it is a very serious issue, very, very serious issue, because we have varieties of conflict. There is a personal, individual conflict. That conflict goes on inside. In fact, there is no meaning to conflict if we are not having that ourselves. There's no meaning to conflict. For example, you will not, if you strike a match and put inside the water, it will not light. But because there's no fire element in the water. Similarly, a person who does not have conflict in himself or herself will never have issues with anybody. Even there are issues, it will not be his or her problem. Therefore, we have to look at the personal conflict, which is very, very serious. Majority of people are going through that. In most cases, unresolved because there is no spiritual knowledge. And we have communal family conflict. We also have this between the family, between the community, between the same or friends, relatives, a community, a country to country. We have also a global conflict, national conflict. We also have, above all these things, we also have a conflict which is ordained by higher forces. We have varieties of that, even conflict from the supreme person. So we have varieties of conflict, not only just one area, the varieties of conflict. And we'll look at all the examples of these different areas of this conflict, beginning from individual to the interplanetary or global interplanetary, or beyond that to the divine conflict. Divine conflict. Conflict is also divine. This is a divine conflict. Divine in the sense that it's arranged by the Supreme Lord. So this we are going to look at this, the conflict, the varieties of conflict. We are going to look at the solutions to all the conflicts. And we're also going to look at, so there are three aspects. Conflict itself, varieties, we're going to look at that. We'll look at the process, the tools for resolving all these conflicts. And the tools will require persons to do that. So the moderators, those who are going to facilitate conflict, what are the qualifications they need to have to be able to effectively resolve conflict? So we'll look at the three things. The qualifications, the tools, the material for facilitators who will effectively resolve conflict. Then we'll look at the solutions of the conflict and the conflict. These three things we're looking at. And we will begin from a traditional view of conflict. Traditional view of conflict. Not forgetting that to this end, an important function of any leader is to create an atmosphere in which people have the opportunity to address conflict honestly and to resolve them fairly. A leader has the responsibility. Leader has the responsibility. If we are leaders, not managers, but if you are leaders, we have the responsibility to create a favorable atmosphere, environment, where people can address, people have the opportunity to address conflict, opportunity. We saw this perfectly. To this end, an important function of any leader is to create an atmosphere in which people have the opportunity to address conflict honestly and to resolve them fairly. A perfect example that comes to mind is Lord Ramachandra. Lord Ramachandra will not sit down every morning he comes to the office. That is our language, office. In Christian Doraka, we call it Sudarma Assembly. That is his office. The Christian has office. Prabhupada also have office. So when Ramachandra comes to the office, he would never sit down. He would never sit down. First of all, he would ask, Lakshman, please go around the kingdom and check if there is anyone that has any issue, some conflict that they want to resolve, that they want to see me for settlement. Go and check. And they will go all over and check to be sure that no issue. Then Lord Machanda will sit down to begin the day. In other words, he begins the day from resolving all issues. This is Lord Machanda. And a perfect example of how he deals with the situation. It's a responsibility to create this. So there was a conflict between a Brahmana and a dog. We don't have much time to go into the detail about this. Lord Ramachandra created an atmosphere. See, it is here. A leader must create an atmosphere in which people have the opportunity. People have the opportunity to address conflict honestly and to resolve them fairly. Lord Ramachandra, a dog is not allowed in holy places like a altar, the temple, and king's palace. But to resolve the conflict honestly and fairly, Lord Machanda gave permission for the dog to enter his office, which is not normally allowed. He did it. So the language is not just empty. It is a reality. It is something which is possible that we can do. Our duty as leaders is to help people. Leading people means what? We are taking care of people to eventually fulfill the need of human being and go back to God, which is Christian consciousness. The need of human beings is Christian consciousness. We have to create that favorable environment. Ramachandra perfectly did this. A dog entered his kingdom, not his kingdom, entered his office, which is normally not allowed, but he gave permission. Why? To create a favorable situation. In other words, as Prabhupada said, who is a citizen? One who is born in that country. So animals in that country, they are also considered citizens. Lord Bachanda is perfect in this. Every day we are dealing with ourselves, every day individually, every day we deal with ourselves. So much conflict. So much conflict is going on inside individually. So much conflict is there. Every day, conflict. There is going, is loaded. They have to be trashed out for successful Christian consciousness. So this topic we have to discuss it seriously because it is necessary, it is needed. If the foundation of our Christian consciousness is not strong, we are not going anywhere. Our foundation is to be very strong. We should understand the fundamental principle that governs all beings. Then we can make headway to achieve the goal we are looking for. So the traditional view. In the traditional view, conflict are negative experience to be avoided, as we say in the beginning. Conflict is to be avoided. In some cases, we should look at this thing in a very broad sense. Not every bad thing that happened to us is karma. Or even if it is karma, it is a good karma, or it's a very good opportunity for us to address a very serious issue in our life. So not all the challenging situations are bad. Therefore, we should not have a conflict or thinking negatively in our own life first before we talk about others. Yes, traditional view, conflicts are considered negative and is to be avoided, if possible. Why? It depends on you win, I lose. Who want to lose? Nobody. Nobody. There's no fool who want to lose. Everybody want to win. Therefore, because we don't have a clear understanding, we are not sincere to ourselves, we don't have a leader who has a positive attitude towards helping everybody. There is injustice all over the world. Injustice. So if you don't know somebody, your situation is no case. Something you have to suffer alone with. This is my travel. But a leader has the opportunity to resolve these things for people, so we can move forward. Therefore, we don't want to deal with it. No one wants to lose. Everybody wants to win. People who perceive conflict within this win-lose frame of reference frequently tend to ignore, minimize, or override many underlying differences. Some of us do this. I give example. If a devotee or somebody do something wrong, and if the person is not corrected, because the person is going to become our eternal enemy, if you don't correct it, ignore it, minimize it, override, underline, we have not helped that person to change. So simply say, oh, I forgive, is not correct. I want to visit one country and in one temple I was there. A senior devotee has abused another devotee. So they call for the two parties. And because the devotee knows, the devotee who was insulted, is abused, misused, knew that he doesn't have a person to defend him like the other person. After all, he's senior to him, both age and also in coming to Krishna consciousness. Because the person has stayed in the temple for some time, he knows everything runs. So when he was called, another person was called, he stood up and he said, I'm very sorry, I'm at the fault. Please, I don't want this case to continue. So even if it's something wrong, I forgive. So when I visited the temple after that, and they told me this, I said, no, this is wrong. So why? Everything was resolved. I said, no, it is not resolved. Why? You have not helped the person who did something wrong to see where he is going wrong. Therefore, you have not resolved anything. You have not helped the person because we are afraid that the person is going to do, they're going to say that, then it will become a bigger problem, and then we will be more an anxiety. Therefore, it should not be. It should be ignored. It should be pushed aside. Keep under the sweep under the carpet. This is not leadership. So it falls within this traditional system of viewing conflict. It is not healthy. Although the person has physically said, oh, I forgive the issue, there's no problem, we should not continue, he's my senior, blah, blah, blah. He is not humble. And the thing has not gone out of his heart. It will remain there, and in the future, it will react negatively because the wound has not been healed. There is no medication that has been applied. The medication is that the issue has to be dealt with fairly, and the person should be told straight, directly, with compassion, what you did is wrong. And the person has to admit it, then feel sorry and apologize, then he can be forgiven. So we don't forgive before repentance. Forgiveness is after repentance. And in recent decades, it has become apparent that this approach has not worked. It will not work because for the reasons we have just given. A new understanding of conflict is emerging, one that does not view differences as necessarily negative. Instead, it looks beneath the superficial issues to the fundamental needs and values being expressed, and considers the possibility of a solution. This is the best way to deal with it. This is the best way. Frequently, conflicts subjected to a win-lose approach flare up again later, yes, because the underlying issues have not been addressed. The warfare which took place in Bosnia is an extreme case in point, being fueled by deep-seated, unresolved antagonisms and hurts. So, conflict management, which seeks short-term benefits of containing conflict, addressing its symptoms, or by designating winners and losers, is not enough to ensure lasting peace. It will not. For example, you have the United Nations. Since ever they have started the organization, conflict around the world is increasing. They have never resolved any particular issue, not one single in history, not one single conflict has been resolved by the United Nations organization. Their flags keep increasing, the problems keep increasing, no solution for the problem. Why? Conflict resolution, which approaches more deeply to discover the heart of a problem, is required to implement enduring changes. How would this happen? How would this conflict resolution, which probes more deeply to discover the heart of a problem, is required to implement enduring changes? How would this take place? This is not possible by people who are not spiritual. Only those who have a spiritual understanding, have spiritual knowledge, who are self-realized, can take this situation up to this point. And we have the perfect example is Lapabad.
It's 3 o'clock.
Good, thank you. So Lapabad, to my own spiritual master is Holiness Bhakti Dhira Swami Maharaj. Perfectly resolve the issue that there's no remnant left behind to be remembered in the future or anytime. Perfectly. All right, Yorick Hare Krishna. Welcome to be with us. So, His Holiness Bhakti Dhira Maharaj went to Srila Prabhupada after he has had a lot of mistreatment and from the God brothers, and I don't know if God sisters, but God brothers. The devotees, our philosophy begins from we are not the body, but from practical reasons, so practical observation. From my personal observation, 80% of Hare Krishna devotees are on the body, if not more. No. Yes, 80% in the body. So we will look at things, we view things, even up to this point where we're discussing. Even up to this point we are discussing, a lot of bodily consciousness is there. This is a real problem that the United Nations organization can never resolve anything. Wherever they go, they're going to create enemies between the two parties. Because they're going to look at what material things are going to get from each parties. What are the material things? So they will resolve issue with this person, they give ammunition to other people. How would they resolve the issue? Because they're dealing with people on the material platform. They have no solution to the problems. They simply aggravate it. Because when my enemy or whatever situation is there have been pampered or against me or me against them, they are not, even if it is declared that they win us or we win them, they will try to revenge because they are not happy with the situation. That is not the way to resolve conflict. And their problem is that they have no spiritual knowledge. They don't know what is self-realization. Therefore, they can never resolve issue. What is the qualification for them to resolve issue? They're going to be biased. That is always the case in this situation. So a good day we was having this experience. Even in Harkeshan temple, we see this. So much bodily consideration, so much discrimination, racism, so prominent. Even big devotees will see this. You'll be surprised if I should call names and they tell you what they have done. You'll be shocked to hear, this person, yes, there, it is there. I'm telling you, for personal experience. For personal experience. Yeah, big devotees, I'll tell you, because I have associated by Christian mercy. I have the fortune to associate with the topmost, with the middle, and the bottom. This is my situation. I deal with all areas. So what is happening there on the highest top, I'm aware. What is in the middle between, I'm aware. And what is behind, below, and I'm aware of all this. So we know everything which is taking place. So to talk about this thing is it is a natural thing because we have had a lot of experiences about this and observation from different. So my spiritual master, after experiencing this for a long time, so he went to his spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, and he said, Srila Prabhupada, it is my observation that in this your wonderful spiritual movement, so wonderful, but all the beautiful things are available here. Still, there is racism here on a very high level. So the Prabhupada said, if you are affected by that, and then what's the difference? What is the difference between you and them? If you are affected by that. Here, we should try to understand. Srila Prabhupada is not justifying that. He's not justifying that. He's not denying it. But he has taken the Guru to a higher level to see where you are. See, why you complaining because you are affected by it? That means that is your level. If you are above this, you will not see it as a problem. So do you understand? So the problem is you should raise your own standard, then you'll be free. Otherwise, you will be destroyed by this kind of lower energies. So he used a positive and high level understanding, spiritual consciousness, to clear that demarcation which is there, to remove that curtain which is there. We have seen this, for example, we saw it with the Krishna, Prithu Maharaj, and Indra. You see? So Prabhupada did not tell him, yes, I know this thing, these low class people, don't mind them. Prabhupada didn't say that. He didn't say that. He didn't say, yes, I'm so this, I don't know how to do what it is. I've been teaching them all this year, they can't resolve it. Prabhupada didn't say that. He didn't condemn them, neither did he approve of the of the nonsense things they're doing. But he raised the standard, the spiritual standard, the spiritual concept. He raised it up. So the Gurudev was able to see that immediately he understood. And he took it off his head and continued what is what is most important that will help us. So in this way, Srila Prabhupada perfectly resolved the issue without leaving any remnant behind that one will say, okay, because I'm one and there are many, let me just tolerate it artificially, just hold it to myself there because I cannot do anything. That chance was not there. It was cleared, perfectly resolved. The Gurudev was not thinking negatively about them, and he was not also affected by that. At the same time, he didn't feel that, oh, my Gurudev didn't support me, he supported them. Everything was perfectly resolved with clear understanding, knowledge. So he got out of it. This is a perfect example. We also saw another example, Priyabrata Maharaj and Lord Brahma. Lord Brahma is a Prajapati. Priyabrata Muni Maharaj is a sannyasi. He's a sannyasi, fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness. We have mentioned many times. That a devotee, some devotees is, oh, Prabhu, is Maharaj, he says, I cannot control my loss. Let me just get married. Because I've tried, it's not working. Let me just get married. I say, Prabhu, you're not qualified to marry. Why? You're not qualified. That's not a qualification to get married. A qualification for you to get married is that you have control over your senses. Yeah. So if I have control over my senses, then I should not marry? No, there is a misunderstanding. It is then you are qualified to marry. Because this is what Lord Brahma did in this case. He did this perfectly in this case. And if you look in the history, all the householders who are married, we don't see small people among them. They are all great sages and munis, all of them. Not lazy people. But today we have lazy people who are getting married. Therefore, we should not be surprised that you get the lazy children who do not take interest in Christian consciousness because you are not qualified. You must be qualified to do something wonderful. So if you don't know how to drive and you are given a very powerful, expensive car, what is the value of that? It is as good as putting you in danger because if you enter there without knowing, what will happen? You will die. Similarly, if one does not have control of the senses, you should not get married. You should work on controlling the senses, then you can get married. That is why in Vedic culture, one has to go for training for 20 years to be qualified. That's the reason. But today we don't understand that. So Priyavrata Muni or Maharaj, he was a sannyasi. He's a sannyasi. The Brahma says, see, my duty is that I want to populate the universe. So I want you to get me. Say, oh, what is that? What is that? What is that? I cannot do like that. No, I'm a sannyasi. So no, you're a sannyasi. Yes, I know you're a sannyasi. But you're my child, you're my son. Your duty is to help me. The duty of a servant is to help assist the master in his mission, in his project. So you should get, I don't see any person who is qualified that are going to bring wonderful entities that will be very useful in this world. So you should do that. He refused. And so Narada Muni had to come in. And with a good explanation, so he got married. So we see the difference. We see the difference between a person who is qualified and a person who is not qualified. When the Priyavrata Maharaj was asked to get married and he got married, he didn't misbehave. When Nahusa Maharaj, also a good priest, was also asked to take the position of Indra, he fell down because he was not qualified. But see, Priyavrata Maharaj, he didn't have difficulty because he was a qualified sannyasi. So he sensitive with control. Therefore, he was not agitated. He was not disturbed. He did his service very nicely. And you see, Parasi Maharaj was surprised. He was asking Sukadeva, how is it possible that a person who is so much engaged in scientific education can give up or can practice Krishna, can have such a level of bhakti for Krishna like this. So Sukadeva Goswami had to explain everything to him in detail. So it was nicely resolved that everything was amicably done. He did his service with good mind, no grudge. There is nothing, no malice. There's nothing, okay, because of my sin, so you are using your power over me. That was not there. It was not there. It was nicely resolved that when he took over the service, he did it to the best of his ability, no reservation. Yes, this is the perfect conflict resolution. Perfect. You don't want to do something and you are asked to do something and you are so convinced that you did it perfectly like Priyavrata Maharaj and Arjuna. Arjuna didn't want to fight, so it was not his issue. Just like for us, suppose you are not hungry, you don't want to cook. You're not hungry, you don't want to eat. You're not cooking to sell. Someone is coming to impose on you. Hey Mataji, please cook something for me. I need to eat, you cook something for me. If you don't want to eat, you are going to cook with a different mentality. Well, my senior is forcing me. Let me just go and do it. Do with grudge. But we don't see that with the Priyavrata Maharaj and Arjuna. They didn't want to do something. Krishna convinced them, Brahma convinced them when they agreed to do it because the situation, the conflict was nicely, perfectly resolved. They were so happy, so satisfied with it that they did their best. There was no reservation. That is why you see Arjuna became a hero. And you see Priyavrata Maharaj, a hero. They left a lasting heritage for us. Heritage. So we can see the perfect example of those who experience the resulting conflict. The result of that, nothing is left behind. The effect is that everybody will benefit. And Vyasadeva and Narad Muni, they have internal conflict. For the case of Prabhupada and his Gurudev, that was external conflict. It involves other personalities in the God brothers. But for Vyasadeva and Ramoni, Vyasadeva, the conflict was inside. He was not having an issue with somebody, it was inside. I did so much things, so much civil like this, and not happy with the problem. He was morose and despondent, and he think about so many things what to do. It was internal conflict. And Ramoni came and told him, my dear Prabhu, see, the cause of your conflict is that you have not done the right thing. Although you did so much, but you don't know what to do. Therefore, I'm telling you, all that you have done, the mistake is that you have cooked a khichdi. Now you should make halwa separate. You should make Sundays separate. You should make shikari separate. You should make sutras, kiri separate. You should make sabji separate. Even within the sabjis, varieties, you should make them separate. So that when people come here, everybody will know where they belong. Yeah? Everybody will know what they belong separately, so no conflict. You have created conflict. That is why you yourself cannot feel happy. Because the work you have done, whoever goes through it will remain in conflict. So if you want to be free from conflict, you should not create don't create conflict for other people. Don't do that. So make Krishna separate. Let Krishna stand supreme on his own, distinguished from all other things. Make them declare. So Ramuni cleared his confusion, his misunderstanding, misconception. And when he did that, everything was finished. Perfect. Universal human needs. In the late 17th century, human occupies a shared global village. You see, global village. This is how pure devotees see things. If we want to resolve conflict, why just this word, global global village? It has resolved so many conflicts, so many. Why? If you are seeing the whole world as one unit, brothers and sisters, where will conflict come from? Where will racism come from? I will not see you, oh, you are black, oh, you are white, you are green, you are red, and this. It is gone. Automatically it's gone. When we see things like this in this way, when we see things in this way, there is no more racism. It is gone. Automatically it is removed from our, when we see ourselves as one. This is just a village. Whatever different tastes we have, which is normal. Which is normal. So like Bhakti Dhira Damodara said, we have different waters. Water is the same, but we have different waters, we have different air, we have different varieties of food. It is not a mistake that Krishna made all these things. It's not a mistake. And people are going to identify with this as we live in this material. Only when the one becomes a Paramhamsa, then you don't have any issue with all these things. Whatever is available, you're 100% satisfied with it. But before then, we have to deal with issues differently, but without conflict. When the spiritual understanding is there, like this, effective conflict resolution addresses this level of essential human need, which are shared by all. Yes. A universal need. Universal need. Everybody knows if someone pinch me, I will feel pain. Therefore, if I pinch you, you will feel pain. This should be understood. There's a conflict. This should be clearly understood. If we don't know this, we will remain difficult. It's a universal need. It's not that, okay, if you pinch a white man, you will not feel pain. Only if you pinch a green person, they will feel pain because it's green. Every human being will feel pain if you pinch anybody. So it's a universal need that don't pinch anyone because the person will feel pain as you will feel. This is very important. As I'm hungry, it's not only one person is hungry. All human beings should be hungry. It's a universal need that everybody must be hungry and we need food. Everybody need water. It's universal need. Water, food, is universal need. Health is a universal need. It's universal. Just like death also is universal. To die, it is universal. Birth is universal. Disease also is getting universal. Old age is universal because everybody has to pass through it. Not only some people. Everybody will pass through it. So a leader's responsibility is to see to this that everybody is given a fair opportunity to address everything. That's the duty of a leader. Otherwise, there is no need to have a leader. Everybody can just do what you like. A leader means that now we have to bring everything into unity so that everybody will benefit from it. In the late 20th century, humanity occupies a shared global village, and the inherent need of human beings are intrinsically similar across all the cultures and forms of government. I will eat, you will eat. You will drink, I will drink water, I will drink water. You need air, I need air. Everywhere. It is a need of everyone, both animals, both plants, insects, the bees, reptiles. It is universal. Whereas conflict over material interests tend to lead to a win-lose outcome. The same thing, because we don't have spiritual knowledge. Therefore, I want to get more over you, or you want to get more over me, or people say we are very smart. Very smart means I want to cheat you first before you get on me. Not that I have any fair dealings. So we have a perfect example. The world today could greatly benefit from learning how to identify the fundamental emotional, psychological, and spiritual need of each culture, going beyond the obvious superficial conflict to discover the more hidden factors. Pitu Maharaj, chastise Mother Earth. Because the citizens were getting skinny, no food. He said, what is it? Give food for my people. Why not producing food? It was not his fault to go that why did you come and offer me a business? It was why are you producing food for everyone to eat? Yes. Traditional methods of dispute resolution have generally involved the determination of each party's material goals and interests, and the subsequent imposition of a solution on both sides, as in a court of law or before an arbitration panel. An alternative has often been to force a resolution through warfare. This is a community or family conflict, or a family conflict, a difficulty between brothers, sisters, extended family. What needs to be shared among everyone? One person is taking charge of that. And then the idea is, I need more, or I'm better positioned than you. Therefore, everything should come to me. And if I like, then I can do this or do that. So we are all citizens and of the same father. Therefore, all of us have equal right to the position. Of course, the senior must have a right. But that does not mean that he is alone or she's alone have to take everything. Everything has to be shared. A traditional method of dispute resolution have generally involved the determination of each party's material goals and interests. We want the property of our father. So we fight. Even in the spiritual circle, this is also going on. In the spiritual circle, societies are fighting over properties. Our properties. Our prophet said, his God brothers were fighting over the property of the spiritual master. And the spiritual master said about Israel society was very disturbed and disappointed. Oh, I wish I would remove all these marbles and sell them, make money and print the books. So Prabhupada said, this happened after the disappearance of my Guru. But in my own time, my disciples are fighting right before my nose for the same thing. This is conflict. Why? Because nobody considered another person's issue. Everyone is thinking my way is a highway, and everything, if you don't follow me, you are a fool. You are doomed and you are lost forever, except you follow my way, because my way is the best. And your way is the best, I will also think the same way, because there's nothing so special about you that makes you to think like that or have the right to say that. They say there's conflict. Conflict. A conflict is coming from material desires, material facilities, material positions. I've been in the movement for a longer time than you, so I know better than you. You just came now, so you have to be under me. And whatever I like, you should like that. If you don't like that, you go to hell. There will be conflict. So we have this example of the war of Kurukshetra. The Kurukshetra is fought on this basis. Dhira Dan is taking over everything from the Pandavas, things which are made from the family. In fact, and in this case, the Pandavas are the rightful rulers. But because they were younger, their uncle took over the place temporarily, waiting for them to grow up so they can handle everything. But instead, he was thinking politically. I am blind, that is why I cannot rule. But my children are not blind. Therefore, instead of giving to, since my brother has died now, I better give it to my own children. But what he did not know, this Rasta did not know, was that the leadership is not given to him, not because he was physically blind. It is because he was also spiritual and mentally blind, as well as his own children, because they are like him. So that was the issue. But they couldn't see that because they don't have any spiritual vision. They don't no understanding of the science of self-realization. Therefore, they cannot realize that they were acting on a material platform of thinking I win and you lose. That brought a lot of conflict. A less materialistic, more spiritual view of human nature is a necessary prerequisite to effective resolution of differences in today's world. This makes a deep-rooted, more integrated approach to conflict resolution possible. The same thing. Only a spiritually minded person can resolve things perfectly. Only spiritually minded. So the conflict, the root cause of all the conflict is ignorance of our eternal spiritual nature and this, our connection with the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna. That's the root cause. Ignorance is the root cause of all the suffering to the living entities on the planet. So here we saw the Crusader was the battle was fought because of this. Dhira Dan wanted everything. Even when the Pandavas, who are the rightful people, were so spiritual, so holy, so wonderful, so completely free from conflict, desired that, okay, we are not interested in leadership. That's okay, you can take it. But because we are also ruler, we are Kshatriya, we don't beg, we don't depend, we command. Therefore, just give us one village each. That's all, we are satisfied. Didn't take the remaining. No, not even to the size of the eye of a pin. That much is not possible for you. Just look at the greed. Just look at the ignorance. The war came in and were gone. And we saw a different opposite to that. Not the blind, materially, spiritually blind people. Opposite to that, we have the spiritually awake personalities as who has given the philosophy, the teachings that we cannot resolve material problems with material solutions. It is not possible. Material solutions have no strength to resolve our material issues. We need a spiritual understanding to resolve material things. Prabhupada brought in this powerful, wonderful teaching, and he gave it to us in a very dynamic and wonderful way that everybody is benefiting. So let's look at the integrated approach to conflict resolution. Integrated. The integrated approach to conflict resolution does not accept an outcome that is the result of an incomplete or superficial understanding of the solution. Yes. Instead, the solution derives from a proper analysis of all the circumstances, including the hidden complexities related to the basic intrinsic human need of each party. Such need cannot be dictated or adjudicated, and they cannot be bargained away. Yes. You cannot legislate our universal need. You can't legislate that. We cannot. We have to resolve it as it is, making sure that everybody benefits. Everybody benefits. We have to look what is the cause of the conflict. What is it? The root cause is our ignorance. So we don't understand what is good for me is good for others, what is good for others is also good for me. We don't understand that as we are, others also should be. That should be clearly understood and applied. If these fundamental needs are ignored, or if they become subject to negotiation, how are we going to legislate that? Then the parties involved will have difficulty resolving the conflict. Even if they do appear to reach accord, the solution will not last because basic human needs are as fundamental as the needs of air, food, and water. People cannot live long without them. They must be provided. So conflict needs to go to the root. Look for the solution. Perfect example, the Pandavas need only 5 villages. The Kauravas said no. We need to live. It is necessary. We are Satriyas. We are not beggars. We don't beg. We are Satriyas. Brahmanas can go to the forest. They will feel comfortable, happy. But we are Satriyas. We are different. Just do what is necessary. No. Denying our human need. So it's just like example is here. Denying someone to breathe air. Denying someone air? What is that? So it means the person dead, that's all. Telling Satriyas to go and be hermit in the forest is like cutting off their head. In fact, that is even better. They need that. You cannot say that that is not your right, I cannot do that. You can't say that. You just like say, don't breathe. Don't breathe. Every human being in this world is motivated by the desire for greater knowledge. Yes, eternal existence. Yes, an unlimited pleasure, and wants to be valued. Everybody wants that. Everybody wants that. Who wants to be addressed as animal? Who will be happy if you say, "Oh, Mr. Animal, you're just worse than animal"? Who wants it? No matter how you may claim to be humble, who reacts to that? Everybody needs this. Respected and loved. This is universal. It's a universal need. Those who have resolved conflict must always remember that each party in the dispute is pursuing these inherent universal needs. Yes. Yes. Conflict resolution then becomes a process of finding ways to meet these needs without inflicting serious loss on either side. Yes. To attain a lasting, mutually acceptable end, the conflict, mediators and facilitators, and even the disputants themselves, and ask the following questions. Please take down this one. I should take down these 3 very important questions. What kinds of needs are manifesting in this conflict? Everybody should take down this, and we want you to work on this. And we'd like to see what you come up with next time. 2, which of these needs are basic human needs that cannot be compromised? What I'm looking for that is disturbing me, which I'm having an issue with our environment, with our community, with our head, whatever. Do I need all these things, or there are certain things which are really my primary need, the thing that I really need them the most? Or they are just my greed? that I'm creating the conflict? 3, which of these needs are more superficial and therefore subject to negotiation? Yes. Yes. We have example, the case study, and above 3 questions of conflict between the Pandavas, Draupadi, and Lord Krishna on punishing Ashwatthama. This morning lecture was on this. The Russian lecture which we did today was about this very issues. I was just remembering we have this afternoon, we have this topic, and Krishna ran that also we have it in the morning. We're looking at the issue at hand. It's a conflict which is which need to be carefully looked at and see. Do I need all this? Otherwise, why should I stick my head into unnecessary problems or create unnecessary problems? Or is it necessary? So we have to look at these things. Draupadi cried when her 5 sons were killed by Ashwatthama. An activity which is even condemned by Ashwatthama's friend, whom he wanted to please by doing this sinful activity. Draupadi cried, and Arjuna was very disturbed to see his wife in so much anxiety. Not only one, 5 children were all killed helplessly in sleep. But the conflict here was that Ashwatthama, who did this, is Arjuna's spiritual master. And then a spiritual master should not be insulted. A spiritual master should never be disrespected. Not even insulted, should never be disrespected. And properly mentioned in nature of instruction. A spiritual master is not subject to our criticism, for our judgment, for our also punishment. It's not. So that is a conflict here. Now, the situation is that Arjuna promised, a person who did this, I'm going to bring his head for you to stand on and take your bath. After you have burned the bodies of your sons, you stand on the head of the person. I'll bring the head of the person here for you. That means that Arjuna promised, I'm going to kill the person, I'll bring the person here. I'm a Kshatriya. I cannot use the end of your sari to wipe your tears. Neither will I use my own handkerchief. I cannot use even hand as a Kshatriya. This is for Brahmana or lazy people. For a Kshatriya, they have a different way of doing things. A Kshatriya, I will bring the head as a Kshatriya. I'll bring the head for you, the person to you. As a Kshatriya, I will show my strength by bringing it. I'm capable of being your husband, one who can protect you, a lazy person. But now the person was brought. The head is not cut off yet, but the person was brought. And upon seeing that Draupadi was more disturbed. Now the conflict is not about the dead children. The conflict now is about how can you kill the person who made you what you are. He's your guru. He's as good as your guru because his father trained you and you are his favorite. Even in the name of justice, please don't kill him. So it was a serious issue. It's a conflict. Now it is not just an individual conflict. This is not an individual conflict. No. It is a communal conflict. It has to deal with the community now. So it's a communal conflict. So we also have a universal need. So it is a need. It is a need, it's a principle has to be established. And we saw also Lord Machanda, perfect example, because the person who this is named in a Shastra as an aggressor. Is named in the Shastra as an aggressor. Therefore, he does not defeat the position he's holding. So he has to be killed. And Krishna Prabhupada mentioned, it is not sinful to kill this person because he has fallen below the standard of a Brahmana. And Prabhupada mentioned, before Arjuna took this vow, he knew that Swatama was the son of his teacher. So he knew, therefore, his action was right to bring him and to cut off his head. So please look at this. The issue which will give us a problem that we need to address, do we really need it? Are some things which we can give up and avoid this? Or is it my greed or something that it is universal that I need? Like this, we're establishing a principle which has to be followed by the whole world. Anything established in this particular incident is a principle that shall be followed by the whole world. So our situation is like that or something different from what I have. The importance of self-knowledge. Leaders who understand themselves and their own deepest motivation will be far more effective at resolving conflict than those not given to self-knowledge. We have mentioned many times that what is causing conflicts is ignorance. In any particular situation, difficulties are inevitable as long as human beings remain ignorant, yes, about who they really are and what will genuinely make them happy. That is why we have to look at those. We have to look at this very carefully. What kinds of needs are manifesting in this conflict? Which of these needs are basic human needs that cannot be compromised? And which of these needs are more superficial and therefore subject to case study? All right. And we have this rediscovering the totality of themselves and a part of their greatest good. 1. 2. By communicating that understanding in a clear and loving manner, people can learn to solve conflict. For every leader, just as for every individual, this process of self-discovery involves acknowledging and resolving general conflict, and then helping others to do the same in a way that fosters unity and growth, not division and stagnation. So here we look at the tools for resolving conflict. To ensure a secure and stable future, individually and collectively, people can begin by committing to solve problems through new partnerships based on cooperation, love, and trust. Very essential. For example, Prabhupada established ISKCON for this purpose, to take us out of our ignorance so we can understand we are spiritual, part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of God. And we are brothers and sisters. Without this fundamental understanding, it is very difficult to resolve. In every society, the leaders of the future will be those who are willing to resolve conflict in a creative spirit of collaboration and compassion. As we go forward into this new century, current events indicate an urgent and ongoing need for a form of conflict resolution that helps all parties discover ways to solve problems and grow without resulting to conflict, to violence. This is our need. This is our process. We don't have to wait. We are all responsible. We are in Krishna consciousness. All of us, we are leaders. We have the responsibility to see to it that Excuse me. As we go forward into this new century, current events indicate an urgent and ongoing need for a form of conflict resolution that helps all parties. This is our duty. We have to do this. Discover ways to solve problems and grow without resorting to violence. This is necessary. Alternative violence. Alternative to violence. This evolution growth of humanity fundamentally involves a change in the conscious understanding of one, what human beings are. Two, what their purpose is. And three, how to fulfill this purpose. What human beings are, this is very important. We are talking about ignorance. We should know what we are, what is our purpose, and how to fulfill that purpose. It's our prime concern. Everyone should know this. And ISKCON has been established to give us this facility, and the facility is available. We should be able to identify this very clearly as leaders. Why? Because we need it to move forward. This change begins with a commitment to a personal self-discovery process. We have to begin with ourselves. We started this discussion from a personal conflict. The conflict is with us first. If you don't have conflict, you cannot have it with somebody. Therefore, we have to commit ourselves to personal self-discovery. The process, this is Christian consciousness for most of us. This is what we are already doing. We have to go deeper into it. Out of a desire to grow and learn the true learning of life, one begins to inquire. Why am I here? Why am I suffering? Who I am? What is the goal of my life? This is very, very important. Conflict can provide opportunities for conscious growth and self-discovery that involves a willing commitment to change and revolutionize personal lives. Such an approach to conflict resolution is initially inner directed. Eventually, however, the process moves forward, affecting others in this way. People committed to inner growth and development of a higher consciousness radiate positive spiritual energy that helps bring more order and balance into the world. All life benefit from such a profound shift. Swarupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, a perfect example that in Vrindavan, they are accepted by all, both the rogues, the thieves, and the ruffians, and the gentle householders. They will bring their case. They don't say, oh, these are sannyasis, oh, we don't have to bother them. They have a lot of things to do. They come, say, my husband did like this, my wife did like this, my neighbor do this way. What do you give a solution? And they will perfectly say, oh, you householders condemned, you get the same fire, get out. They didn't do that. They don't do that. They listen to them patiently because they care for them. Their life depends on them. They have given their life to helping the world. Therefore, whatever we consider contamination, it is part of their duty to help humanity. Therefore, Rupa and Sanatana Goswami, they deal with people very nicely, very sincerely from their heart because they care for everybody. And people accepted them as their spiritual master automatically. A perfect example. And they were chariots, and they were very pleased to have us represent them perfectly. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, dear Srila Gurudev. Thank you so much for the class. We are now opening the floor to any questions. So if any devotees have any questions, you may raise your hand on Zoom or you can type your question in the chat box. We have Rasalila Priya Mataji who has raised her hand. Mataji, are you able to unmute yourself?
Yes. Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. How are
Happy
you?
to have you with us.
Yes, yes.
Hi,
Maharaj,
Baby.
thank you. She's good. She's good.
Very good.
Getting big every day.
Very good.
Maharaj, please, I had one question.
Please go ahead.
Okay, thank you so much for the lecture. It's very insightful and very useful also, especially in this age that we're currently struggling with life. Um, I appreciate you mentioning the conflict resolutions of how to um, deal with other people, but how do we deal with conflicts, like inner conflicts with our own selves, with our own minds, with our own emotions? Um, because in doing so, perhaps it would be helpful and easier um, to practice that conflict resolution with others also. Thank you.
Good. So to help ourselves resolve conflict, a good day mentioned here that it is very, very important, which is the beginning of our philosophy of Christian consciousness. Who am I? This is the beginning of our Christian consciousness. What is the purpose? What is the purpose of being in this material world? How will I achieve this goal? After knowing this, how do I get myself to be free from this? How do I get myself out of ignorance? To this, we need a very strong sadhana. That's how we can deal with ourselves. We need a strong sadhana to be able to realize, to soften the hand, to be able to appreciate the importance of others, and also to be able to understand how will we understand and forgive other people and accept everything without grudge, like Priyavrata Maharaj, because of his spiritual knowledge. Vyasadeva, because of his spiritual knowledge. The Pandavas, it is because of their spiritual knowledge. He also mentioned Arjuna, because of the spiritual knowledge they have, they acted differently. They, when the message came in, immediately they were able to internalize that and realize, yes, it's correct. This is where I made a mistake. And it was easily resolved. So to resolve the conflict within, we need a strong sadhana. We need to hear properly. Just like why we're discussing this, the purpose is to help us understand what we need to do, how to do it, and apply it. Application is very, very important. Most of the difficulties we have in Christian consciousness is that we don't apply the technologies we have. If we start now to apply, as a good to this change begins with a commitment to personal self-discovery process. Self-discovery process. Self-discovery process. Who I am. What am I? What am I supposed to do? Is it the way I should live my life? What will I gain by this? Something else I can do to be different, to become free? Because when our inner self is very strong spiritually, is realized, we don't have difficulties. There were no issue. A conflict becomes a very powerful, a wonderful opportunity for us to make advancements. not to bring us down. And if we don't have spiritual understanding, as a result of not having a strong sadhana, every little thing becomes an issue, very big issue that is very devastating. This we see every day. It begins with ourselves. This is how we started this discussion, that a conflict begins with us, with the self. And why ignorance? So we need to understand the knowledge. Knowledge is very important. We need knowledge to be able to realize. Because Gurudev was in knowledge. When his spiritual master told him, don't be on the same level with this, we all immediately he understood. And he took it. So, okay, off with it. He was finished. But if we don't have knowledge is on the body platform, we see what is resonant is that. I can see how they are doing. Just see the way they are treating me. Look at it. But because he had knowledge, the moment the prophet said, hey, my friend, you don't make any difference because they're feeling the same way they're doing. So how if you don't show any difference, you will be the same like them. So I don't see any difference between two of you. So, okay, I'm sorry. No argument. He accepted and he took it out. She was free. So we need this inner development. And that will take place when we start to apply all of our technologies very nicely. With our high consciousness, level of consciousness, conflict will be a chance for us to grow, not to bring us down. It should not be something that, okay, now we are going to keep on meditating and forgetting Krishna. We're meditating on problems. People who meditate on problems, you will always get problems because that is the deity you are meditating. You will always get problems. And those problems will bring you down. Not something that you are going to, it's not a problem that is a stepping stone for you to move forward. It's a stumbling block. That's a problem. We don't need to put ourselves in a situation where the challenges, opportunity given to us by Guru and Krishna becomes a stumbling block. There should be a stepping stone that we will move forward in our Christian consciousness at every level of challenge. And Gurudev calls that transcendence. Transcendence means whatever happens, especially negatively, is an opportunity for us to go closer to Krishna. Opportunity to prove the level of our faith in Krishna consciousness. That is transcendence. Not going down, but always going up. That needs a strong practice. And to have a strong practice, you need strong association, good, positive association. All right?
Yes, Maharaj. Thank you so much. That's very, very insightful and very accurate also. Thank you. Thank you so much, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
It's 4 o'clock.
Good.
Thank you so much. Srila Gurudev, we also have Pran Hari Prabhuji with a question.
All right, Prabhu, go on. Unmute yourself.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Hare Krishna Maharaj. Dandavat Pranam. Thank you for allowing me to ask a question. Nice to see you first. And Dandavat Pranam. Maharaj, what the Mataji asks is related more or less to that question. Is basically like, we hear some conflict between the devotees or something other in the spirituality, within the ISKCON. We get a lot of disturbance, like, it is happening like that, some very close also, like, and the part of my question is basically that I feel that I should not disturb them in their resolution or not to help them, because maybe my understanding is very little in helping them. So what should we do in that case? That is my question.
Your question was?
My question is basically like, there is a, can you hear me, Maharaj?
Yes, I'm hearing.
Okay, my question is, Maharaj, sometimes, what happens, the devotee, there is an issue between, we hear so a lot of, like amongst the devotee there is some issue happen or the conflict happen and that. And then it disturbs us a lot because we feel that because it's very close to us or within that society. And but sometimes I feel that I should help them, in resolving. But then I feel that, oh, I'm still not able to. I'm not ready to help them in that case. So what should I do to bring that, or how do I cope with that?
The fact that Krishna has brought it to your knowledge means that you need to contribute, and especially the people that are close to you, they are known to you, they are close to you, and you understood the situation. Yes. Haribo? The people that are close to you means that it's within your reach, it should be addressed. If it is not within your reach, they are not your friends, they are difficult to offer it first. Then we should get someone else on their level to handle it. But if it's within your reach, you should, hey, my friend, you see things like this. I'm not judging you, but see, you're my friend, I cannot tell you lie. See, things like this, don't do this, you do things like this. We are brothers and sisters keepers. We should do that. At least we should try to help. And especially when we have a genuine interest, it's not bias, it is for the good, because we want a healthy community. How would that work if we don't support each other? It will take place when we support each other. We have to do something practical. We find a way. If we are really serious to do something, Krishna will find a way to give us the opportunity to come in and give them some solution. If we are really serious ourselves that we want to help, not for pride, not for anything, but we want to help the devotee, which is our duty. We are together so we can help each other. The Christian will make arrangement, make opportunity for you to say something. I have this experience of devotees having the difficulties, and they are seniors. Difficulties, and it's very simple thing. Ego was there. Also, like we were saying right at the beginning, ignorance is there. So you find a way to indirectly solve something, and both of them got the message. Not having a conference to discuss it, but in a very casual meeting, just opportunity arrived that he just say something about it, and everybody got the message, and so oh, I see. Okay, I have a situation like this, and say yes, you should take care of it. So Krishna put the situation that they say something, and he helped them to get a result. It should be that we are desirous to do something to help. Then Krishna will make the arrangement. If you are not desirous to help, Krishna will not make the arrangement. But when you see that we are desirous to help, genuinely want to do something as a service, Krishna will surely respond by making the arrangement. And we have a opportunity to say something that will help the party, both parties, to grow nicely. And if it is beyond us, you should put it to higher authorities who can take it. Right?
Yeah, no, thank you very much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you very much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Srila Gurudev. We have two questions. One is from YouTube and one is from Zoom. So first we'll take the YouTube question from Radhakund Mataji. She has posted that Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj Ji, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you so much for the powerful lecture with practical exercise. My question is, what role does emotional need play in a married life of a woman? Many conflicts arise because of this, and how can one overcome in a positive way? And Shri Gurudev, she's referring this from the universal human needs, where we are reading that world today would be greatly benefited learning how to identify the fundamental emotional, psychological, and spiritual needs of each.
So the question about emotional of a wife?
Yes, Srila Gurudev, she's writing that what role does emotional need play in a married life of a woman? Because many conflicts arise because of this need. And how can one actually overcome this in a positive way?
Both parties should first try to understand each other. One problem I've seen, a major problem I've seen, also in our devotional circle, is that we are so selfish, so extremely selfish, that people live together, even a husband and wife do not know each other. So they are not married. To me, my own understanding is, I don't see that is marriage. For example, when I ask a devotee, how many rounds your wife chant? And he told me, I don't know. You don't know? Who should know? Me? You stay with a woman in a house for years? You don't know how many rounds she chants? Are you married? I said, this is not marriage. Well, you can say, then what is it? It is opposite people staying together. There will be conflict. Surely there will be conflict because you don't know each other. Even if it is not manifested, it is inside emotionally. It will be there. Therefore, the beginning or resolve the conflict, we should try to know each other. You must know each other. You can't stay with someone for a year, 2 years, 5 years, and don't understand what this person like, what the person does not like, both men and women. We must know this. This is not a big philosophy. This is a practical thing. We should know each other. We must know each other. My wife doesn't like this, or my husband doesn't like this. We should know this and carefully try to avoid it. This is just the human qualities. Of course, these days we don't have human qualities now. It is going away every moment. Human qualities are going down. We are extremely becoming inhuman every day. Therefore, there will be conflict. But Society for Krishna Consciousness is given to us to change these things. To change these things. So first of all, we should begin from trying to understand each other. What is the likes and dislikes of my wife? What is the likes and dislikes of my husband? You should know this. If this is done, you have 100% chance to be free from conflict. Anything that comes in will be dealt with a smile. Both of you will deal with it with a smile. Hey, Prabhu, it's finished. Oh, Mataja, it's finished. But if this is not known, every little thing will be a serious issue. I will tight my face for you for the whole day, even a week, for nothing. For nothing. I will not greet you for 1 month. For nothing. All right?
Yes, Srila Gurudev. We have Urmila Mataji next. Mataji, could you please unmute yourself and ask the question?
What do for you, Urmila Mataji? You're still muted.
Srila Gurudev, till that, oh, she's not able to unmute. Mataji, can you unmute yourself now?
No,
yes, yeah. Yes.
All right.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Thank you for the. Okay. I have one question. Some days back, you said you should not hold anyone negatively in your mind. So you should. So you should forget and forgive all the bad that people have or devotees have done to you. And today you said forgiveness cannot be given without repentance.
Yes.
So now if someone, so first is I'm not able to understand in which situation we should forget and forgive without repentance, and in which situations we should forgive only with repentance. And what if the other person doesn't repent only? So we should forgive the grudge.
Somebody offends us, we should remove it from the mind.
Remove him?
So, yes, remove it from the mind. If the person comes to beg, that we can do officially, but in our mind we have removed that from the mind because it's good for ourselves. It is a practice that everybody should apply. Should apply this. In management, if you want to have a healthy organization, have a healthy community, don't just in a public forgive people without their repentance. Individually, you do that in a mind, but don't do it officially because it will not help the management. It will not help that person to get corrected. And the person will continue with that impudence and continue to make the same offense to other people. It may not be just because the person has not been corrected. That's the problem with Daksha. Daksha did not repent. Although he begged for forgiveness, he begged for forgiveness, but he did it officially. He didn't beg for mercy on Shiva. So he continued to commit it again and again and again. So we have to give people a chance to realize what they have done is wrong. It's not a judgment. People should realize what they have done is wrong. This is the duty of management to take care of this. And when a person begs, then official forgiveness is there. But for you individually, you forgive because a person should not become an issue, a deity in our mind. We have to meditate on every day. We have Krishna to meditate. That's enough for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you.
Krishna. You're back in Vrindavan or still in Bombay or still in Vrindavan?
Vrindavan, Maharaj.
Oh, great. Please stay there.
My brother has also come now again.
Yes, I saw your picture with him.
Yes.
All right. Enjoy yourself.
Yes, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Gurudev. Sorry.
Right.
Gurudev, we have two hands raised up, George Prabhu and Rasalila Mataji. So
all right.
These would be the last two questions for the day that we're taking.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, Maharaj. Hare Krishna, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna. How are you?
Thank you very much for your. I'm good, Maharaj. By your mercy, I'm good. My question is, you made mention that it is not everything that happens to us that is a karma. Even though if it is karma, that karma is good for us.
Yes.
My question here, always it seems like when blessings is coming away, it comes in a very disguised way that we don't see right from the initial stage. But normally we see that at the latter end. So my question here is, Maharaj, not quite recently, a friend of mine, and for that matter, someone who I'm cultivating, to be a devotee. And here I am, so he has to put a poison in my prasadam. And he made a way, Yes, in my Prasad, here in this shop. And he made away with my money. So I tried to resolve the issue.
20 minutes. 20 minutes.
So initially, he took the matter to the temple authority, Prabhu Slochana. Prabhu Slochana called me, and I may mention that I'm not going to sit down because I'm trying to do the investigation and see if he is the one actually who did that. So through my investigation, I got to know that he was the one. So I reported the case to Prabhu Jan. When Prabhu Jan called us, he refused that he was not the one who squandered the money or who made away with the money. Because when the poison was given to me, I was drunk off. So that I couldn't see the one who took away the money. So later on, when I got a vivid evidence that he was the one, Prabhu Jan advised me either I should take it as my karma or I should report the case to the police. So I reported the case to the police, but unfortunately, they didn't handle the case well. So I ended there anyhow. Now, I don't want to mingle with that person again. So how am I going to overcome this? Because as of now, this thing is within me very seriously. That I read something in the Bhagavad Gita and Prabhupada said, anybody who administered poison or took someone's property, that person must be killed. So initially, I was trying to retaliate, and he quite not asked this particular question. And he said, if you cannot kill the person, unless you have to run away from the place. Here is my situation. I cannot run away from here. The person is also living here. And when I see him too, I become irritated. So, and as a devotee too, you have to tolerate whatever situation comes your way. So, Maharaj, I want you to advise me so that I say how best I can do away with this impurity. Maharaj, this is my question.
Yes, it is scriptural injunction that one who administered the poison is an aggressor. One who splunders wealth is an aggressor. One who entices someone's wife is an aggressor. One who set fire to the house is an aggressor. One who attacks someone deadly poison, deadly poison suddenly. Yeah, suddenly. It's an aggressor. So they should be punished. This scriptural injunction, they should be punished. And we'll give example of Ramachandra. He killed Ravana because of that. And the battle of Kurukshetra also was fought because of that. Draupadi was insulted. And as now Aswatthama also is going to be punished by Arjuna for the same thing. There's an aggressor. Duryodhana, he did, out of the 16, I think Duryodhana, he did all 5. He did all. He had administered poison, enticed woman, someone's wife, requesting the Draupadi to come and sit on his lap. And he plundered the wealth of the Pandavas. He did all that. Therefore, they were killed. Now, at the present moment, the system is different. That we don't have leaders who understand this principle. They are ordinary people. In fact, they are not leaders, so they cannot understand this. So if you kill the person, you'll be arrested for murder. You'll be arrested for murder. It is not. So in this case, what they should do? Well, as you said, again, I advise you to report the case, but so to the police. But reporting to the police, you don't have a physical evidence to prove. So the police, they're gross people. They don't have any spiritual insight to look into a case. Therefore, the best thing is to forget it, since Christian already protected you that the poison didn't kill you, and you're still alive to practice. And of course, the person denied having stolen the money. If you don't have any evidence, the police will not, they will not do anything about it. Therefore, the best way is to forget it, but be very careful, not allow the person to be too close to you. You cannot run away from the person because the person is around. But ignore the person. That's how you can handle it. Right, and last question.
Yes, Shubha.
Yes, Maharaj. Hare Krishna. This is more so of a comment on the aspect of forgiveness. And I think you mentioned that if someone offends us, we should remove it from our minds.
The voice is low.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is it better now?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, this is more so of a comment on the aspect of if someone offends us, we should remove it from the mind.
Mm.
In one of Bhakti Dhira Swami Maharaj's books, he wrote that if we hold a grudge against someone, it's more so of us looking and finding ways and means to ensure that that person suffers. And also, sometimes, someone offends us in such a way that it's pretty drastic. And one of the lectures that I remember Radha Swami Maharaj gave was if someone offends us to a degree where we cannot immediately forgive them, then we distance ourselves and offer obeisances from a distance. Now, in this aspect of, removing the offense from our mind, how can we go on practicing devotional service when we know that, we leave it to Krishna to handle? But at the same time, this is the situation where we cannot avoid that person because they live in the same vicinity as we do. So how can we go about that and not be offensive towards that person, even if it's not verbally or physically, but mentally also? Because eventually, if you're offensive towards someone mentally, then it's going to come out eventually in a physical or verbal aspect. Thank you, Maharaj.
Yes, it is difficult because the person is within the same vicinity and you cannot vacate because of the person or ask the person to vacate because of you. So it becomes a very big challenge. And that also will test our level of Christian consciousness. How we'll be able to handle that. So now it's a chance for us to see where we are in our own Christian consciousness, how we're going to deal with it. We will affect that to affect our progress in Christian consciousness, or we are going to seriously pray for help so that we can transcend that and not be affected by it. And at the same time, yes, we keep distance from the person. We can also do that mentally, but that depends on the level of our practice of Krishna consciousness. So it's a good chance for us to elevate our consciousness by this practice. A devotee has to learn how to take things positively. In a situation like this, this is a chance for us to start looking at it in a positive way. Because it's just like if you have a scar, what will you do? It's already on the body. You cannot remove it. If you want to remove the scar, you will expand the scar. So it's better to look it. That's the only way we can deal with it. And then we'll grow to overcome it in due course of time. It will take some time, depending on our understanding of Christian concept, the level of our knowledge. It will take some time, but eventually we'll overcome it with time. So we simply tolerate and wait for that time to come so that we can be free from it and become victorious. And if you take it seriously and make progress, you'll be surprised the level of promotion Krishna will give to you, because you have passed a very huge challenge and you succeeded in it. You get promotion in Krishna consciousness. Because it's a big challenge you have to deal with. You cannot kill the person because the law would not permit you to do that. Physical law. The universal law, Christian law will permit us, but the physical law, which we are predominantly dominated by, we cannot do that. So you have to wait for the universal law, Christian consciousness, to prevail in this situation. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Srila Gurudev. So our questions for today have ended over here. And we thank you very much for this class today, with so many practical tips and few questions that you've given us to think about. We would just like to inform the devotees also that we'll be having a day 2 on the same topic, further elaborating on the features, elements, and more about conflict resolution. So we thank Srila Gurudev very much for giving us the class today with so many practical examples and powerful references from the scriptures. Thank you so much, Srila Gurudev. His Holiness Bhakti Dhira Damodara Swami Maharaj ki Jai. His Holiness Bhakti Dhira Swami Maharaj ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.
Jai. Jai.
Gora Bhakta Vrinda ki
Jai.
See you.
Okay, thank you.
Dapat pranam.
Thank you, Gurudev.
Hare Krishna.